This video it will tell you some methods for you to count some numbers. That is, you can say there is more advanced or tell you more ideas about what is the probability or how to find the probability. So just have a revision first, and we have learned what is the definition of the probability. So that for the definition of the probability, you know that first of all you have to understand what's your possible outcomes. That is, all the events should be included in a certain situation, and for that situation we can find the numbers of favorable outcome. That's something you want, and then we can make use of the ratio, and that's our probability. Okay, so that just look at the new notes now, and here, which is about your new notes here. Oops, some mistake here. Okay, just cross out anything, and just look at here. That is about some more ideas for how to list your possible outcomes, so that you can think either A and B two ways for listing or counting possible outcomes. Okay, so let's start. First of all, for the method one, that is about the tree diagram, and you can just think of it. This time I just make use of the examples here. You will know that this time I want to choose the alphabet from the word up and pop, and all possible outcome why it will happen in here. You can just think of it. First of all, if I choose U in the first letter, and for second I have three choices. That is, so for the first one, which is okay, for the first one, which is a P, for second, which is O, for third, again, since you know that you have two P's in here, and for the definition, we know that all the alphabet, it is equally likely to occur and so that we know that we have to split into two cases for the P, and again for the P, the first letter, and we can split into three cases, either P, O, and P, so that we can find that the value should be appears in here, and we can just think of it to just draw the lines in here. For each possible outcomes, we can just draw the lines in here, and we can find that there's a 6 outcome in total. So this about the tree diagrams, or if you don't like the tree diagram, you can just try to draw the table, and you can just list all the things, and you can just look at the examples here. Since the example, all the things draw at the same time, so that you know the number 1 or the 3 boxes cannot happen, since only 1, 2, and 3 in the box, and so that you can't draw 2, 1, 2, and 3 at the same time. And again, we can just put the table in here, try to list all the situations, and that is 1, 2, 1, 3, and so on. We can just base on the situation, and then we can find that. That's our answer. And okay, so let's move on to the examples here about the tree diagram. First of all, you want to find all the situation, which is about tossing 2 fair coins and you want to find the probability. And so that this time you want to find that 2 heads are obtained. And here we can just think of it. This time H stands for head, T stands for tail. So you can just think of it for first coin, if you can get a head, for second you can get either an head and tail. So that the outcome should be HH or HT. And for the second way, you know that that's for the first way and this is second way. And you know that if the first coin you can get a tail, the second just either head and tail. So again you can just write down this TH and TT. So that I just give you a remark here, the total number of possible outcome should be equals to 4, and you can just think of it as 1, 2, 3, and 4. For that 4 outcome, they are the possible outcomes, and you can choose the favorable outcome for you. And this time you want to find the 2 heads are obtained, that is about part A, and for only 1 head is obtained, that is B. So that you can just based on the tree diagrams and part A, you can just write that you can write down either the required probability or just copy the question. And that is equal to 4/1. Since you know that for the total numbers of outcome is 4, and for the required probability that is about A. And for B, again you want to find that only 1 head is obtained, and you can just think of it. This time 4 should be your total numbers of possible outcome, and the 2 is the numbers of favorable outcome, and you know that the answer should be 1/2. And so that, and this just show you some simple example how can you obtain or draw the tree diagram and make use of the tree diagrams to represent your answer. And okay, so let's move on to look at the example number 2. And this time you want to find that a bag contains 2 red balls and 2 green balls, and you want to draw the bag at the same time. And you can just think of it. This time you want that to find the probability for A and B. So that you know this time you have 2 red blocks and 2 green blocks. And you can just again try to list all possible situations. And you know, since this time if you can draw, maybe if you can draw a red, either 1 or 2, you have 2 situations. Since you have 2 choices to draw the green, so that you can split into 2 cases, whereas R1G1, R1G2, or R2G1 and G2. So that you can just base on that and to write your answer. And again, you can just list the block here, write down the row for first block, and write down a block for second row, so that you can just base on it. This time R1 for your first block and R2 for your second block. This R1 for here and R2 for here, so that you can just think of it and to write your answer. And again, just write down all the things: R2 G1, R2 G2, and here G1, G2, G1, G1, and G2, and that is R1, R2, and G2, so that you can just think of the situation. This time you know that you want to find the possible outcomes for your want, or maybe I try to write R1, R2, and there is R1, G1, so that you know that this time for two red balls are drawn. You can just look at here. This time all situation is in here. Since this time in here, you know that there's a 12 situations in total, and there's a 2 situations you can obtain. This R2, R1, sorry, and so that you can write that the probability should be 1/6. And for part B, you can write that there is the different colors. Okay, and then you can just write down this time the value should be in here, except here for the G1, G2, and G2, G1. Okay, here there is G2, G1, except that for the remaining X situation are for part B, so that there is B, and you can think of it this time for the situation that is about 12, 8, so that the answer should be 2/3. And just give you a reminder here, for that question you can just understand that 2 situations are duplicated, so that you can just think of that part and to write down your answer. For example, for part A, you can just think of it in total 6 number. There's 2. There is only 1 situation for you to get a red ball. Or for B, for total 6 situation, there's a 4, so that the answer still can equals to 3/2. So that you can just think of it to complete your questions. And okay, finally, just give you another concept about the probability, which is the geometric probability. And you can just think of it that lengths, areas, and volumes, we can just again the whole figure in here that represent the possible outcomes. That is the all possible outcome. We use the whole figure, the measures of the whole figure, to represent the all possible outcome. And for that part, measures of the region which E happens, that is your favorable outcome. And so that you can again base on the similar ideas and to complete the questions, so that we can just write down the arrow hits the smaller circle required probability, and we can think of it this time for the required probability. You know that it hits the target, so that means that the possible outcome in here should be the bigger circle, that is pi 15 square. Okay, I write down that represent the area of bigger circle. And for you to obtain to hit the small circle that is about the area of the small circle, and then you can just think of it. This time the value should be this. That is 0.16, or you can just write for a fraction that is 4/25, and that's about your example number 3. And okay, so just show you 3 examples for 2 ways to list your outcomes and some ideas about the geometric probability. Okay, so just want you to practice more and you're familiar with the ideas.